Hey, everybody. Welcome. You were just listening to Joe Mazzaferro's record called In Terms Of, and that was me playing on that one. So just thought I'd put that out there. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Hayden. You want that? That's great. Oh, man. Yeah, so I just thought I would do this. Can you guys hear me all right and everything? I see the chat. I've got a screen over here, so I might not be looking at you, but yeah, I don't know, just thought I'd play some drums and answer questions if you guys have any. This is kind of just a test. I don't know how well this is working. Hopefully it's working pretty well. So I'm gonna just play a little bit, I guess, and see what we're doing. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So, all right. I think I know what happened. Okay. I didn't press the right button. Let me try again. How's your sound? That should have done it, right? Let's see. Give me a second. I'm new to this. All right. All right. Hey, Keith. All right. Yay. All right. Perfect. Hey, Corey. Hey, everybody. Yeah. Fun times. Hey, so I guess I'm going to leave it up to you guys a little bit because I'm just trying to plan this. So if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know and we'll check it out. Yeah, it turns out I just didn't press a button on my little switcher here. So I pressed all the other buttons. I just didn't press that button. So, hey, what are you going to do? All right. It's the learning curve. All right. Does anybody have any questions about any stuff? Thanks, Hank. What's up, dude? Good to see you. I was thinking about maybe like turning this into a regular thing where I call it Let's Talk Drums, and we all just hang out and talk drums. I don't know. Sounds like a fun thing to do. So I guess I'll play a little bit more. I don't know. Might as well practice, see if any questions come in. Anybody want to play anything? There's Hayden and Hank too. Wow, that's funny. You guys. we got a good question. All right, so favorite Philly solo of mine. I've got a lot of them, but I would say that like one of the things that I try and do is just take ideas from Philly and incorporate them into how I play or what I'm playing. So one of the things there's a few like really standard licks that I think Philly played a lot that are just fun. So the first is that 5-stroke roll lick that I'm sure everybody knows. So that's a really popular and fun Philly lick, if you will. The other one that I really, that I like because it makes me think a lot is his left hand lead paradiddles. So when he plays that. That particular lick is a lot of fun. I like that one a lot. You guys might be able to hear my kids in the background there. You got to do what you got to do. But the 5-stroke roll one, or the paradiddle one, starting with your left hand, man. So what that did for me is that when I started going through that, I started thinking more, just starting rudiments with my left hand more when I'm playing around the drum set, so that it creates new sonic opportunities for you that maybe you weren't normally practicing. One of the things that I always think about when I'm practicing is, if it's something that I generally stay away from because it's not normal for me or not easy for me, then it's something that I need to work on. So starting with your left hand, playing or for me, my left hand because I'm a right-handed player, but playing any rudiments or any licks starting with the left hand opens up a whole sonic possibility that you probably weren't doing before. So yeah. Anyway, there's another question from Roberto. How do I approach setups? Very carefully. Sorry. I'm sorry. I understand if you guys have to go now. No. How do I approach setups? Well, that all depends on the situation that I'm playing in. If I'm playing and the tune that I'm playing. If I'm playing a tune where let's see. Well, like if you listen to some bassy tunes where they go from ultra quiet to super loud, then what I would do is just play a really, really simple setup. So like something on the end of one going from really quiet. That just hitting the snare drum like that on that first the note right before the end of one, man, that's really all you need to do for that particular setup because it gets everybody's attention and then it's like, whoa! So that's one way that I do it. Another way, like you can get a lot more complex if you start listening to some Mel Lewis and Jeff Hamilton and you listen to those guys and you hear kind of like, or even Don Lamont, you listen to their like falling down the stairs setups, if you will, where it almost doesn't matter what you play as long as you play the note before the hit, right? So if there's something on the end of 3 or something like that, then you just play 3, right? So like whatever I did there, I wasn't really thinking about it, but it probably was a variation on a paradiddle diddle. But it was just kind of like hitting it really hard and making sure that whatever I did ended up on beat 3 and then hit the end of 3 with the cymbal. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. I don't know. Anybody else got any other questions for anybody that's just joining us? We're hanging out here. We're just having fun, hitting some drums. I don't know. Maybe I'll practice something. What are you guys all working on? What's everybody playing? Also, where are you from? If I see Keith from Georgia, who we need to get your lesson set up, Keith. Let's see. Hayden and Hank from Folsom. I don't know. Hank, are you still in Folsom or are you back in New Jersey? Is this thing on? Everybody stopped watching. All right. Well, I'll just play. No big deal. This is just a test. Awesome. Oh, yeah, there's a delay. That's why. Okay. All right. I'm going to play some stuff. Also, if you guys are interested in Zoom lessons, kind of what you see right here is what you get. I've got a couple of students. England! Hey, that's awesome. Chicago, Mexico. Awesome. Wow, that's so cool, you guys. Man, what a neat community. Germany. Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Super cool. Back to Jersey on Sunday. All right, Hank. Let's see if we can get together tomorrow if you're free. Or maybe even later today. I don't know, man. It's so hard to go places right now. Let's see. There's a couple questions in there. How do I approach setups? Yes, got that, get that. Have any suggestions on phrasing on the drums? Hungry. Wow. Super cool. Hey, it's Jackson. All right. Let's see. Thanks. I love these cymbals. These are great. We can talk cymbals too if you guys want. Okay, suggestions for phrasing on the drums. So a couple of things. South Korea is sweet. Wow. Man, you guys, all over the world. This is so awesome. Okay, let's see. Suggestions for phrasing on the drums. Yes, bunch of different suggestions. The first would be know the melody of whatever tune that you're playing. Sing the melody and then play the tune. If you can sing the melody, play the tune on the drum set, play the melody on the drum set, then you can start phrasing musically on the drum set. All right, and let's see. Let's just take Mary Had a Little Lamb, okay? So simple song. So. Obviously, the drums are a little out of tune, but yeah. So the drums are a little out of tune for "Mary Had a Little Lamb," but you got the basic shape of the tune, right? So that's some really basic phrasing. Another way that you can play phrases is just by playing rudiments on the drums, because you'll take the same. Let's say we take a paradiddle or dugga dugga dot, dugga 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 dot. Right? So we'll take that thing. Can you tune a fish? Ha! All right. Yes. Well, you can't tune a fish, but you can tune a drum. All right. Yeah, I'm full of those. All right. Okay. So we'll take paradiddles, or take dugga 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 dot. So now we just took that one little phrase and we can play it right, left, right, left, right, left, right, or we can play it as a paradiddle diddle. Right? So now we've got different things. Now if we move our hands around the drums a little bit, didn't quite get that executed exactly right, but if you take your hands and move them around the drum set and you just take a simple rudiment, then you start changing the sound, even if you just put it on a different drum. Start with the left hand. Doubles. So you're taking one rhythmic phrase, and the way that you stick it and play it around the drums is changing the way that it sounds in relation to the drum set. So, so that's it. That's a really simple way to start working on phrasing. Another really great way to listen to phrasing is to just copy somebody like Max Roach or Philly Joe, of course. You listen to the Max Roach, the pretty standard Max Roach phrases like. Those are such clear Max Roach phrases. Like you just have to associate that stuff with Max Roach, right? So you take those two things and you start thinking about them. I think those are singles, so that's great. Take your right hand, play just regular triplets, and start moving it around the drum set. So you start coming up with all sorts of different ideas just by taking things that you already know, like rate of speed, like triplets, and then sticking, and you turn that into phrasing. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I saw another one, super new to jazz drumming from Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan. Awesome. Welcome. I'm practicing art of bop drumming. Is that a good place to start? Yeah, I think that's a great book. There's also the Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer, written by by Jim Chapin. That's a great book, but the best place to start with jazz and getting anything together is by listening. So the more you listen, the more you get accustomed to how the music is supposed to be played. So listen and play along, play with other people as much as you possibly can. I know that's kind of a tough thing right now to play along with other people, but play along to some records. There's if you search Spotify for drumless play-alongs, jazz, you'll find there's at least a couple of playlists that I send to all my students too, and just play along with those. The play-alongs in the back and the play-alongs in the back of the Art of Bop Drumming are great, but they're limited, right? So there's not that much going on there. Listen to the way, if you're checking that out, listen to the way that John Riley plays those tunes, and then play it the way that you would play them. And yeah, that'll be pretty cool. So hopefully that helps. Any other questions from anybody? I don't know. What else can we do? What are y'all working on? Anybody working on anything specific? I know what Hayden's working on. I know what Jackson's working on. Thank you. I love these cymbals. And what was my most influential jazz recording? That's a great question. All right. You ready? It's a weird one. It's the Chick Corea Alive record. So the reason it's between that one and Kind of Blue. The reason that it was influential is that it was one of the first records that I ever turned on and was like, what is happening here? I need to figure this out. And it just sparked my curiosity and got me just so into wanting to learn more about music, drums. It's got Dave Weckl, John Patitucci, and obviously Chick Corea. So yeah, that was a really, really, really great record for me. Yeah, so let's see. Those two records were the ones. Like I remember when I would listen to it live, I started. I just couldn't figure it out. I was young. I was like maybe 12 years old, and I really loved just listening to it. The sound that was coming, like the notes that were happening were just so neat. And I couldn't find one. So I remember the day, it was probably about a year later of listening to this album like almost every day. I finally heard one and I was like, whoa, I get it. I need to do this. So yeah, that was one of the most influential things. And then when I got Kind of Blue, I just couldn't stop listening to that either. So that was where I was just like, whoa, jazz is neat. And I want to do this. So yeah. Yeah, actually, it was Weckl. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I actually, at the start of all this, I took a lesson with Weckl, and it was so much fun. I mean, if you guys have the opportunity, I would absolutely say take a lesson with Dave Weckl if you can. he's a neat dude, and he's a really great guy. Really great guy. Yeah, it's kind of like fusion. It's standards. They played like UMMG, Green Dolphin Street, some other stuff. It was just a live record that they did from the acoustic band. So there's, yeah. Yeah, kind of blue does make sense. The other one, it doesn't make sense though, right? So let's see. Hi, Arg. Let's see. Can you finish my tips on meeting musicians in your area? Well, I don't know anymore. Like, go to jam sessions as much as you can. Go and figure out where the jazz people are hanging out, and or if you're looking for jazz. Find where the blues people are hanging out if you're looking for blues. Be a good player, show up, be ready, be respectful. Find the societies. A lot of times there's jazz societies somewhere in whatever town or hopefully country that you're living in. There's places where you can go to just start meeting people. But especially jam sessions. Jam sessions are a really huge way to do that. So hopefully when all this COVID stuff is over, we can go back to doing some jam sessions. So, yeah. Thanks. It's great to be live. Let's see. What do you think of walk the dog, ride cymbal sound? Walk the dog. Well, it's a great way to just think about it. I wouldn't say that I recommend I wouldn't say that I recommend it. I'm just saying that for me, that was one of the most influential records because it's one of the records that really got me interested in playing jazz. So, I listen to it with completely different ears now than I did when I first got that record. Like I said, it's just a record that really got me excited about music and about jazz. So that's why I chose it. But yeah, it's totally worth checking it out. I mean, it's fun to hear that, fusion-y sound. I got to see him live when I was 12 years old too. I thought that was really fun. So, I see. Sorry, going back to the Walk the Dog. So the most important part of all of that is really just making sure that your quarter notes are driving. If your quarter notes aren't driving, then it kind of loses the forward momentum. Unless, of course, you're Elvin or somebody else that's, really capable of playing like that. So that's, like when you're playing that, I think for me it's the most important part is just playing really, really solid quarter notes and driving the music forward. So I don't know, Walk the Dog it's just a really great, it's a great way to get you into putting the emphasis on the right beats, just so that you're not going, really accenting beats 1 and 3. That's kind of rough. So don't do that. But if you're paying attention to all the quarter notes and then you start adding your skip beats, and you're really listening for those quarter notes, then it'll come together a little bit better. So yeah, all right. Let's see, moving on. Working on getting an electronic kit. Co's of the Neighbors, tell me about it. That's awesome. Get something. What else is great? I have a student right now that has the low volume cymbals from Zildjian and the Aquarian super pads on his drums, and it works pretty well. I mean, it sounds pretty good. So if you want to kind of keep an acoustic-ish feel, that might be a good way to kind of check that out. So yeah, awesome though. Good job. Get whatever it takes, to get a bunch of pots and pans or practice pads help too, whatever you need to do, just as long as you're playing, that's great. All right, where Mexican traditional music adapted for drums, getting the right feel is way complicated. Yeah, Roberto, I hear you. Anytime you're looking for that, just dive deep as you can into the music. I know what you're saying. Yeah, just listen to it, and keep it in your head. That's what I do whenever I have to try and be authentic. I know it's basic, but I'm really bad with drum rolls, and sometimes I feel ashamed practicing. How can I practice and get much more confident about myself as a drummer? Oh man, that is like the best question. So, a couple of things. Don't feel bad, ever. When I sit down and I practice the drums, I sound terrible. So this is El Bonsai. Don't feel bad. Like, we all have a journey. We're all getting there, right? So you got to start somewhere. And if you feel bad about something, you're assigning like an emotion to it. Don't assign emotions. You will get better, I promise you. A good way, since we have all this technology right now, a great way to do that is to just record yourself at the beginning of the week, consistently practice throughout the week, and then record yourself at the end of the week and listen back and see what improvement you've made. Because you don't always know. You don't always know what you've done. A great way to practice rolls, because you mentioned rolls. Oh, sorry, I skipped Commander Alpaca's question. I'll get back to you in a second. Yeah, so a good way to practice the rolls is just to practice slow. If you have a book called the Modern Rudimental Swing Solos by Charlie Wilcoxon, just the first 8 measures. You practice it slow and methodical, and you control every stroke, and you pay attention to the accents. You practice it like that. You work on it. You set metronomic goals for yourself over some time. You will start achieving those goals, and you will get better. So that's a really, really, really good place to kind of start and work on that stuff. Hopefully. So that's one way. You're playing the melody. I wouldn't recommend playing that with the group. So now you sing it and you add when you sing it, add a counter note. So listen, hopefully you can hear me singing. Actually, hopefully you can't hear me singing because it's terrible. But all right, here we go. So now I'm really complimenting the melody. It's saying ba-da, and then I'm saying got it. So that's a great way to start thinking about comping. You have to think in terms of music and how the music is being played around you and who you're playing with and what else is happening. Sometimes if you listen to Elvin playing with McCoy Tyner, their comping is together. They're playing a lot of notes that line up together, and it pushes John Coltrane up into the next stratosphere, and that's some really cool stuff. So yeah, all right. So that's a good place to start. Also with comping, comping is such a weird thing because it's not something that you can necessarily practice a lot of, because you can't practice it in out of context. Comping needs to be practiced in a musical context. So I always practice the comping. A good way to practice comping is by playing along to records, listening. There's a really great Jeff Ballard record out there where he talks about just playing the quarter notes on your ride cymbal around with a record and listening to the drummer that's on it while you're playing quarter notes. And while you're doing that, you listen and you resist all urges to comp. And you listen to why the drummer comped or didn't comp in the places that you would have comped. Just doing that is wonderful practice. I think a lot of people, practicing the comp examples out of John Riley's book is cool because you're learning interdependence, as he says. I would say that that stuff frees you up to be able to play what's in your head when you get to the bandstand. So can't really practice comping because that's a musical thing and it's a musical conversation that you have to have with people. So you can practice your interdependence and your independence so that when you're ready to have that conversation, you start having it. And so the way that you would practice the musical conversation outside of the bandstand is by listening to records and kind of playing along to them and seeing what the drummers are doing when you would be playing it. So hopefully that helps a little bit. It's kind of that's a huge can of worms, really, comping. So, all right. Hey, Daniel. Oh man, haven't played for 40 years. That's awesome. How do you do you have a favorite hi-hat comping instead of 2 and 4 feel? Oh yes. No, hi-hat comping is just like my favorite approach. If I'm comping with a hi-hat or if I'm doing something specific with the hi-hat, I try and think in terms of textures. And so a lot of times, like I'll play a little bit. Like let's say I'm playing a blues. Maybe I'll only play the hi-hat on the 4 chord. So I played on just the 4 chord really, I guess. That's one way that you can think about it. Now, playing on different notes, it's good to have the independence. So I like to play kind of upbeats, so. I like to play the hi-hat, like when I'm comping with the hi-hat, I like to make it part of a bigger phrase. So like maybe a unison phrase with the ride cymbal and then with the hi-hat. You can get more complicated if you want by trying to play some triplety stuff, but if you're thinking about it, then you're not playing it in the right place on the bandstand. So that's the secret is to have the facility, but not necessarily use it all the time. So yeah, all right. How would you recommend learning song forms for standards? Listening. Listen to the standards, try and figure out the song form. If you know some basic song forms like the blues and AABA, then blues and AABA, then you already know a lot of stuff. So then it's up to you to try and figure out the form. For more complicated forms, being able to follow the chord progression and get all that stuff together. Like if you can follow the chord progression, that's one way to do it. When I find more complicated, song forms, I'll play the root motion on the piano while I'm listening along to the tune, so I kind of get that ingrained in what I'm doing. I listen to specific, cadences harmonically, so that I know where we are in the form without having to necessarily count it. Like if you have something weird like a 10-bar form. Sometimes if it's a 10-bar form, I'll think, 8 and 2 or 2 and 8, depending on how it's broken up harmonically. Some, it might be 4 and 6. You never know. You have to listen for those cadences and have a general understanding of the harmony. And once you have that understanding, then you're able to kind of push it a little bit forward. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. But listen is the real answer. Daniel. I wear Echo shoes. I like Echo shoes, and they are black. Let's see, because that's all I have. What dress shoes do you wear for jets? Yeah, that's it. Do you ever use triplets paired as doubles in a musical context? Are you talking about, this is from Victor, are you talking about something like that? Is that what you're asking? If that is what you're asking, then not necessarily. I would use it as a solo thing. Actually, this came up in a drum lesson yesterday. Speaking of drum lessons, in case you're new, welcome. Also, I am offering Zoom drum lessons. This isn't a commercial for those, but okay, Victor, got it. Yeah. So, if you are interested in Zoom drum lessons, go to my website, hit me up. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna keep doing this. This is a lot of fun. I hope you guys are having a great time. I am. So yeah, I'm playing these doubles like you just were talking about, Victor. Got to work on those a little bit. Yeah, I do that for a maybe a soloistic thing, but I'm not necessarily going to sit there and play that as a comping thing. I will play it in shorter bits, right? So I might play something like. But then you get into that one spot, right? So I obviously this isn't something that I would necessarily play. I play mostly those 4 notes rather than a long grouping of those. But if I'm playing a solo, all that stuff, whatever, it all goes, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, solo-wise, yes. Comping-wise, not the long form. So hopefully that helps. What color? Black. Greetings from Mexico. Swing factor for a field. Do you have any tips, tricks to play in the cracks consistently? Sing the melody. Tom? This is from Tom. Yeah, I sing the melody. Think about when you're having a conversation with somebody. If you're having a conversation with somebody and you're listening and you're nodding, okay. Those are your comping, like those are your in the cracks moments, right? So. Just singing melodies and knowing understanding the language of the music, because a lot of times when you're playing with soloists, they are playing the repertoire of jazz. So the more you listen to Train, if you're playing with a tenor player, Train and Joe Henderson and all the cats, then the more people will. The more you'll understand what they're playing. Also knowing some tunes, that's actually, that's a really great question. So I was doing this gig with Wycliffe Gordon, and like we're not friends. There was just a total I was. It sounds way cooler than it. Well, no, it was really cool. Anyway, it was a good gig. I was playing with Wycliffe Gordon and Jeff Clayton, and we were doing a clinic in Notre Dame, and we were talking about just that, playing in the cracks and just knowing the repertoire. And in the concert that night, Wycliffe played and then the rest of the band played, because we all knew to play ... because that's mop mop, right? So that's not the Max Roach thing. It's actually a tune called Mop Mop. So it's not for Big Sid. So Wycliffe played that in his solo, and then the entire rhythm section heard it and answered him. So knowing the tunes, knowing singing melodies, knowing all that stuff, it's so important. And that's why teaching jazz is so much more than just sitting down and practicing the drums. It is absolutely just it's listening. It's getting out and playing with people. So, all right. Greetings from Mexico. Hey, how's it going, Jonathan? In which situations do you use the bass drum feathering? I use it in most. I use bass drum feathering in most. So it's whenever I'm swinging. Sometimes feathering the bass drum is really up to the bass player. The bass player is the person that. Well, actually, I learned about feathering from bass players, from Rufus Reed and Todd Kuhlman. And when I was playing with them back in college and stuff, they were like, yeah, your sound is just missing something. So there's a difference in sound, right? So you're probably, I don't know how well that got picked up, but there is a difference in sound between, feathering and not feathering. So I think it depends on the bass player and the situation that you're playing in completely. Yeah, but get good at it because a lot of people like it. All right, how did I practice press rolls? Some kind of Art Blakey roll. So press rolls are interesting. So I like press rolls with matched grip better than traditional, believe it or not, if I'm playing a really classical one. I start up here at the top of the drum, and then I get more of a bounce and a quieter sound, at least to start with. With traditional, I'm a little bit sloppier. I'm not as good. So the idea and the way that it was taught for me was to press your stick into the drum, and before the first hand stops, start the second hand. So, right? And then before the second hand stops, you start this hand again. So, and so I'm playing really quiet just so I don't have to turn off the mic. But if you practice like that, then you can get a really smooth classical sounding press roll. Also my grip, I change my fulcrum a little bit with that. I use just 2 fingers and my thumb. I don't take these fingers off the drumstick, but I don't really mess with the drumstick much with those fingers. So it's really just letting the stick do all the work. Now, traditional, I'm more like this. So you can probably hear that I'm not nearly as good traditional as I am with matched for that. And that is the only thing in this world that I'm not as good with traditional as with matched. It's the only thing matched that I feel makes a big difference. So, but that's not to say I won't play a press roll matched. I just, I do my best, and, nobody can play like Blakey, so I do my best. Jazz Holt, wow, thank you so much. That is so nice. I do appreciate it. That is super cool. Wow, thank you. Neat. Let's see. What colors dress shoes do I wear for jazz gigs? Daniel, I wear black dress shoes, mostly, because that's all I have. Echo. My wife works for Echo, so Echo dress shoes. They are the best for playing jazz. All right. I play traditional grip. Could you please demonstrate your snared rim shot technique? Sorry, my question mark key is not working. Oh, all right, Jack. Sure. All right, so when you're playing traditional grip, you can't really see it. So this angle kind of shows the angle of my drum. So the angle of my drum is important because when I'm playing, it makes it so I don't have to lower my shoulder to get the rim shot. So what I do is when I figure out where the rim shot is, my forearm doesn't move. Okay, so my forearm kind of stays where it is. So we'll just try like maybe the the paradiddles from David Garibaldi's book. So hopefully with that, you saw that my left hand wasn't moving too much, the arm wasn't moving. Now, that's not to say that you can't move your arm, because you certainly can. You watch like all these guys, Stuart Copeland, all those guys, they moved their arm quite a bit. But at least to get started and get used to a consistent rim shot, then that's a great place to start. So if you don't have Future Sounds by David Garibaldi, I highly recommend you get that. It's a great book to work on consistency of sound, and just playing paradiddles is a great place to start with that. So hopefully that helps. All right. Great to see you guys. Yes. All right. Commander Alpaca, you got it. No problem. Let's see. Yes, it's great to be doing this. It's fun. You know what, Jesse? That's a great question. I think I will. I mean, I'd like to kind of build a community and do some of this stuff. in the future, I'd like to launch a website with some courses and things like that, and this would probably be part of that. I'm, just testing the waters, seeing what's out there. It's kind of fun. I'm building a studio at my house, so that's kind of what I've been waiting for a little bit. But with COVID and everything, I finally was able to get this stuff together. So I've got cameras and mics. And Hector, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That is awesome, you guys. That is way too nice. Thank you. Yeah. So that's what I'll probably be doing. I've got this stuff together. I might as well use it. And man, I really appreciate you guys with the super chats and just all the questions from everybody and being able to connect with people all over the world about playing the drums. I think. What do you think? Should I keep this going? I would like to. I think I will. Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions about anything? Thinking about maybe, Yeah. I'm not sure. I just like drums. Do you want to talk about drums a little bit? So somebody earlier mentioned the cymbals and everything. These are some old Ks. These are new stamp old Ks from like the 60s probably. And they're both 20 inches. This one's like 1,700 gram. They're both in the 1,800 gram range for the 20s. And then these are intermediate stamp hi-hats. And they're kind of what I've been using a lot lately. You guys probably know me mostly from YouTube. And with YouTube, I played this guy an awful lot. So this is the cymbal that kind of sparked an artisan revolution with Sabian. I love this thing too, but it's funny how your ears change after a period of time. I really like this cymbal. Let's listen to it for a little bit. So obviously that's a great sounding cymbal, but I've had it for like 15 years, so my ears just kind of need refreshing every once in a while. So I love it. It's a wonderful cymbal, but I rarely play it. I've actually been getting more into 20-inch cymbals lately too. They're a little bit more portable, and they just have a good sound to them. So I really think that's where I'm at right now, is with 20s. I have a 22-inch old K as well. Here, I'll put that up so you guys can hear it. This one's also a new stamp from the probably late 60s. This one's pretty heavy. It's about 2,500 grams, so it's a little on the heavier side, but it's a great sounding cymbal. I've used it on a couple records. So yeah, that's an old K too. I don't know. I really like this one too. I use it for more big band stuff. So let's see. What song melodies would you prefer? Let's see. There should be more of these. You know what, Taylor? There's going to be more of these. All right. At what angle do you hang your cymbals for use? A different color touching? I try and. Well, this one's a little weird for me right now. I'm going to have to get going in a couple of minutes. My wife actually has to go to work, and I have to watch the kids after this. So. Real life, right? So for the angle of the cymbals, this angle kind of helps you see that a little bit better, I think. So when you're checking out this angle, you can see that I like to have an angle where the tip of the drumstick is kind of the predominant area of the drumstick that I'm hitting it with. And then that way I have options. I have a lot more options. So hopefully that helps. But it's different for everybody. Hector asked a question. What song melodies would you prefer to use for drum interpretation, like monk melody lines? Man, monk melody lines are so perfect. Obviously, you can get into In Walked Bud. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So you can play that one super easily. Obviously, if you check out Roy Haynes' solo on that, you can check out Roy Haynes' solo on that, and I mean, he basically plays what I just played. So that's a great one. Just going into any monk tune. Just start with, you know what, the best way to do it is to just really start with tunes that you love. Start with the tune that you love, and then, yeah, go from there. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Would love to have an opportunity to get inside jazz stuff from you on a daily basis. Well, thank you so much. That is so awesome. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm going to do this daily, but probably once a week. So, yeah. Larry Edwards, yes. All your cymbals sound amazing. Must not. Yeah, you know. Sometimes you spend some money on stuff, I guess. Talk a little bit about tuning. Yes. I don't have any specific method on tuning. That maybe, you know, let's save that for another live stream too. I think, you know, for tuning, it really depends on the drums. These drums are a little bit temperamental with where I like to tune the drums. They tend to choke a little bit. This is a 3-ply 12. These are from the 50s. So that's a 3-ply. This is a 6-ply. And the bass drum's actually a newer broadcaster. I think I got it in 2018 or 2019, so I could have an 18. Otherwise, can't afford an 18. So, but yeah. So you know what? We'll do that. We'll do that on another live stream. So keep that in mind. So. It's a great podcast and streaming, etc. Very safe space. You inspire me to find a physical space and set up a stream. Yes. Thank you so much, Bill. Yeah. I don't know Clout Hub, but yeah, you can check that out. I just know that everybody's. What are you still a little weak on? Man, everything. The more you know, the more you don't know. So. Yeah, that's what I would say. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to have to finish this up. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in and watched this. I am just blown away by the support from you guys, and that was neat. So I'm going to do this again. You just keep an eye on my channel. We'll do this again in I don't know, probably next week. Why not? So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.